Assalamualaikum. This is Salmin Khan and welcome back to my channel Ki Khabar Shabar Kemon Acho. Today we are here to meet someone very special, and he's none other than the Member of Parliament for Saskatoon West, Mr. Brad Redekop. Right now we are just in front of his office. Okay, so now let's just go inside and see if he's available or not. I'm kind of excited and nervous as well because this is the first time I'm doing something like this. So let's just go. Oh, it's just locked. Okay. Go. Hi, Carol. How are you?
Thank you.
Is Brad available to talk?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Where is he?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
Very good. I didn't expect to see you today. It's a
Oh,
total
wow.
surprise.
Yeah.
But it's always good to see you.
Thank you. So let's just go inside
come on
and
in.
have some talk. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So now we are here with the Member of Parliament for Saskatoon West, Mr. Brad Redekop. Hello. Welcome to my video.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ki khabar shabar kamanach.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's like, thank you so much for giving us time. So shall we start the video or questions? Okay. Nice. So tell us about you and your family.
Well, I was born here in Saskatchewan. I'm
Mhm.
from Yorkton, which is about 3 hours away from here. I have my parents are living here with me in
Mhm.
Saskatoon, and I have a sister,
Mhm,
younger
mhm.
sister, and her family, and so we enjoy life together in Saskatoon.
Wow, nice. Okay, so what's the most favorite part of your family?
Well, I have a wife and 2 children, 2 grown boys, and we
Mhm.
have a cottage. And
Okay.
so we love to spend time at the cottage. There's a lake there, so we get to
Awesome.
go fishing and
Yeah.
boating and doing other things there. So my family and my extended family loves to come to the lakes. That's probably
Wow.
our favorite activity.
Yeah, I think that's like good for the summer, especially. Yeah, it's.
We go there in wintertime too.
Oh wow.
Yes, and
Really?
we do ice fishing.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I have never done this before.
Yes, it's something you need to try.
Yeah. Okay. Next time I'll definitely try. Okay. So how much time do you get to spend with your family?
Well, that's tough when I'm in Ottawa a lot, and so I don't spend as much time with them during that time because I'm in Ottawa. But we get together on major events. My kids are grown, so they have their own lives. So we get
Okay.
together on major holidays, and we get together at the lake in the summer and things
Okay.
like that. Yeah, and I get to see my extended family a few times a year.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. So since when did you start taking an interest in politics?
That's a good question. Actually, when I was very young in school, I used to be very interested in politics, and there was a magazine called Maclean's magazine, and I would read that from cover to cover when I was in grade 7, grade 8. A lot of political things in there, and so I really had an interest from an early age. But I didn't. I knew I wanted to get into politics, but I didn't want to do it without having some experience and some life experience behind me. So that's why I chose to have a career, do all of those things, and prove that I could manage people and do all get some experience with life and with business and how things work, and then come back to politics at an older age.
Wow. Nice. Okay. So are you from a political family background?
No, and my parents, they still look at me and they go, "What happened? Where did this come from?" Yeah,
Okay.
so no, they're not political at all, and so it's been interesting. They've become more political now. They watch CPAC and they watch us in the House of Commons
Okay.
because I'm there, but otherwise it's new to them.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so what are your okay now? What I'm gonna ask is it has two parts. So first one is what are your aspirations in the political field, and the second one is which politician do you admire most?
Yeah. So, as far as aspirations, I come from a business background. And one of my frustrations, I think, with government all along has been it's so slow to move, slow to change. It's a big, massive bureaucracy that's very difficult to work with. And we see that now with, passport delays and backlog immigration and all these problems that, sometimes government just gets bogged down and confused. And so as a business person, I know that when you have a problem, you fix it. You do what it takes. You bring in the resources you need. You find an expert. If you need somebody that's smarter than you, find someone that's smarter than you to help, and you solve the problem. And so that's what I would like to see more of in government. And so I've been there in my own life, my own career. I've seen others do it, and I know that it can be done. And so that's something that, if I can have a tiny little impact on improving the way the government works in my time, that would be an accomplishment.
Yeah, I saw one of your video that you were talking about the passports and all that stuff. Yeah, I have seen all that video, and you're doing great.
Thank you. Now, as far as politicians,
yeah,
John Diefenbaker is one of my favorite politicians. He's from Saskatchewan, from Prince Albert. He was a great prime minister. He had a lot of firsts. Like he brought in the first Aboriginal Indigenous senator.
Okay.
He actually appointed the first female minister, and he brought in what was called at that time the Bill of Rights, which eventually became the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But he was the first to bring in the concept that people in Canada had certain rights, and he enshrined that in his Bill of Rights. So he did a lot of great things, and I admire him a lot.
Wow. Okay. So which certification are required or can help set you apart in this role?
You can have almost any certification to become a member of Parliament.
Okay.
The things that make it that help you when you're a member of Parliament are you need a lot of energy. You need to be able to take in a lot of information and process it and remember it, because there's a lot of things that come at you all the time. Lots of different facts. I've learned about all kinds of crazy things that I had no idea about before I got into politics, and so you end up with all this information coming at you. So you have to be good at handling that sort of thing. You have to like people fundamentally, because in this business, it's all about people, and so it really is important that you really appreciate people. And I love people, and I find people fascinating because everybody's different. Everybody's come from a different background. And obviously you like some people more than you like other people, but everybody's fascinating. Everybody has an interesting story. And to the extent that I can help somebody, it's very fulfilling and it's a lot of fun.
Wow. Yep. So my next question is, can you tell me about the most difficult or frequent challenges you face in this role?
Well, one of them we already alluded to is the travel. It's a very time-consuming job.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when I'm here at home working in the office here, there's a busy day all day in the office. People coming in to see you, lots of phone calls, emails, those types of things. Communicating with other levels of government, other colleagues, and then there's events. There's always in the evenings and on weekends. There's this event or that event, and it's important to be out there. And I want to be out in the community, meeting people, seeing what's happening in the community, supporting what's going on in the community. So it's very busy at home. And then you end up in Ottawa for about half of the year. And generally I'm in Ottawa from Monday to Friday. And I try to come back on Friday and then leave Sunday afternoon to go back to Ottawa. So I'm only home for a couple of days. So that makes it difficult to see my family, to see my wife, because I'm physically in Ottawa for a good chunk of the year. So that's probably the hardest part of the job.
Yeah, can understand. Yep. So we have 3 segments here, and this was the last question for segment 1.
Okay.
So now let's just jump into the segment 2. Okay. Right. So it's going to be all about like what you're doing or your projects and all sort of that. So my first question is, are there any important projects you are working on?
Yeah, there's quite a few. The one I want to highlight is my private members bill that I brought forward. One of the problems we have in our country is when we have a lot of immigrants come to our country, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
And we need a lot of people in certain jobs, especially in our country. So it's great that we have immigrants coming, and a lot of them can fill some of these jobs. The problem is a lot of immigrants struggle with their credentials and getting them recognized. So you might be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a nurse, but you come to Canada and the credentials don't line up. So my private members bill is about exactly that, trying to make it better and simpler for a newcomer to Canada to be able to have their credentials recognized here, so that they can work in the field that they are trained to work in. And frankly, a position that we desperately need filled. And I mean, everyone who's traveled has had a taxi driver who is a doctor, or an engineer or something from another country, right?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that we're wasting that talent driving a taxi. Not that it's bad to drive a taxi, but that person could be used in a hospital somewhere or doing other things. So that's something that I'm working hard on, because I think it's very important, because it affects everybody. It obviously affects the newcomer themselves, but it affects all Canadians, because if we can utilize the skills that are coming to this country effectively, it's better for everybody.
So first of all, I would love to thank you for working for the credentials, about credentials and SDS. You are working for SDS as well.
Yeah.
So
The High Commissioner appeared at this committee asking for the country of Bangladesh to be admitted into the student direct stream. I specifically asked the minister on March the 3rd if he could make every effort to have Bangladesh enter into the direct stream program for foreign students, and his answer was he's certainly open to it. So for the Associate Deputy Minister, it's been 20 days or so. First of all, has the minister talk to you about getting Bangladesh into the student direct stream?
thank you so much for working for us. So my next question is, would you like to give us any updates on that? Like, you are working for SDS and credentials?
So SDS, just so that everybody knows, it's called the Student Direct Stream.
Yeah.
And it's just a way for students who want to study in Canada to get here a little easier and simpler. It simplifies the paperwork and shortens the length of time it needs to get approved by the Canadian government. So what I've been working on is certain countries are allowed to use SDS and other countries aren't.
Yeah.
So Bangladesh, for example, is a country that is not allowed to use SDS. And so I heard a lot from people in Bangladesh. I have very good relationships with lots of people from Bangladesh, including the High Commissioner in Ottawa. I've got to know him very well. And he's really asked me, and others have asked me to push this issue, and so I have. And thankfully, I've gotten some results. And so the minister recently told me that he is going to implement SDS for Bangladesh sometime this fall. So that's a big win, and it'll be really good for students coming to Canada from Bangladesh.
Yeah, because they are having difficulty. Even it was like challenging for me to get the visa, because I supposed to come in January. But then I had to defer my semester because I didn't get my visa. It was like over 3 months I didn't get the visa. So yeah, then I had to come in spring and join.
So SDS would have helped you.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll come into place this fall.
Yeah, hopefully. So thank you. Thanks again. Okay, so my next question is, what would be the option for immigrants to join in politics in this country?
Oh, there's lots of options, and I think it's important that immigrants get involved with politics. And so, the first step is just getting engaged. You can get engaged at a local level. All politicians, whether they're federal, provincial, even civic politicians, they need volunteers, they need helpers. We are no different, and so we have an organization here in our riding in Saskatoon, and we have a board of directors. We have volunteers that help us because we put on different events. We might have a barbecue or some sort of an event. And during an election, of course, there's lots of work required, like door knocking on doors, and many things to do during an election. So that's the first step: is just get involved. Find somebody. You might have to do a little research and figure out which person, which party you relate to better. You might be a conservative, hopefully, but you might be one of the other parties, and that's fine. So figure out who you align with, and then go and volunteer with them. Awesome. And then as time progresses and you get more into it, you could find that you might become a board member or ultimately even a candidate in an election. And I think all those things are possible, but it all starts with just getting involved.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So do you encourage immigrants to join in politics? What's your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, just get involved in things, because as time goes on, there's more and more immigrants. And really, we need to back up a step, because I come from an immigrant family.
Okay.
My grandparents came to Canada over 100 years ago from Europe. So even though most people would say I'm a Canadian, and I am, of course, but really I'm a third generation Canadian. So I'm not that far away from having immigrated to Canada. And so, at some point, the next generation or 2 generations from now, somebody who's recently immigrated, their children or grandchildren will be, they'll be viewed as sort of a long time Canadian. And so that's the issue, is that in a few years, people who are immigrating now will make up a large percentage of the population. And so get involved. Get in there, and it's it. You might be surprised. I'm a second generation or third generation immigrant who's now a member of parliament. So
Awesome.
you could be a member of parliament, or your children someday.
Oh wow. Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay. So thank you again. And my next question is how necessary is community development and education?
Well, community is kind of the core of a city, of an area. I mean, you have your family, that's really the primary unit that you grow up in, but the next is your community. And so you really need a strong community because a strong community builds strong families and it builds a strong country. So it's important that you get involved and help out with your local community in any way that you can. And you mentioned education, and education is really the key to everything. And no matter what you want to do, you need to have some sort of education. And so I always encourage people to stay in school, do their, whatever passions you have, pursue those passions. Go to university if that's what you want to do. There's lots of jobs around here that, you can work in a potash mine, you can be an engineer, you can be a mechanic, you can work on a farm. There's so many ways you can work. All of them have their kinds of education you need, and I just always encourage people to go to school and get that education.
Wow. Okay. So why should immigrants choose Saskatoon?
Well, Saskatoon is a great place. It's the best place in Canada.
I
Wouldn't
agree.
you agree?
Yeah, it's so peaceful, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a smaller city, so there's some things we don't have, but there's so many things that we do have. We have such a peaceful city. It's such a welcoming city.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful river. There's lots of like I mentioned that we go to our cottage. There's so many lakes and rivers that are close by around here. It's a very beautiful place, and it's so different in wintertime versus summertime. You can have a lot of fun in winter, just like you can in summer.
Yeah.
And we have great institutions here. We have a wonderful university with some world-class facilities here. We have a lot of science here. We have a lot of IT here, and that's all growing at a rapid pace in Saskatoon because people recognize when you work in Saskatoon. I've heard one company that I work with, they say you're a 2-song drive away from home, meaning if you're driving your car, you can only listen to 2 songs in your home.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So you don't have to be in traffic for half an hour, 45 minutes. It's very quick. So there's lots of advantages to Saskatoon. It's a great place.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone is so welcoming. I was surprised when I went to my university for first time. I was scared a little bit because I come from Bangladesh, so I was scared. But everyone was so sweet and welcoming, so it was like heart-touching moment for me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and that's pretty typical. I hear that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So what changes would you make in Canada government policy on refugees and asylum seekers?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue we face right now is the backlog. There are right now 2.5 million people with paperwork in the system who are waiting for an answer. Can I come to Canada? And that backlog is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month that goes by. And so, there's many things we could do, but the very first thing that we have to fix is that backlog. And there's different ways to do it. I've suggested ways to the government. They don't seem to listen too much, unfortunately. But one of the most obvious solutions in my mind is the whole process should be very transparent, and it should be online. It should be like the example that we use is Amazon. When you order a package from Amazon, you can go online and you can see exactly where it is.
Yeah.
It's in this city, or it's waiting for this piece of paper, or it's waiting at customs, or whatever. It's all there online. And so we need the same thing for immigration. So you make an application, you should be able to go into your account, to be able to see your application and see that it's past this stage and it's waiting at this stage. Or if somebody comes in and looks at your application file and makes some comments about it, you should be able to see those comments. Everything should be there. And many times in our office here, people come in because they need help. They're stuck. They don't know what's happening. They've been, it's been a year or 2 years, they haven't heard. And so we go in to inquire the status of this thing. But if it was online, you could just do that yourself. Go online, you could see the status and save a lot of work for a lot of people. So that's a simple idea that we'd like to see the government implement. But that's what we have to do in Canada is we have to get the backlog back down to a manageable number so that you don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 years to come to Canada.
Okay. So how would you rate the current president?
Of the United States?
No, Canada.
Okay, the Prime Minister of Canada?
Yeah.
You want my truthful answer?
Yeah.
I think we could do a lot better. I think he and his government, they talk about a lot of things. They say they're going to do this, they say they're going to do that, and then they never do. Or it takes them forever to just do a little tiny bit of what they said they would do. They have manipulated people. I mean, right now we have an inquiry about the shooting that happened in Nova Scotia, and it appears as though they were manipulating the police to try to push their political agenda. You know, there's a long history of scandals with this government, so I think we can do a lot better, and I think Canadians have noticed that there's a lot of the government, the Liberal government, just does not follow through with what they say they're going to do. And so my hope is that in the next election we'll have a new government that will be a conservative government led by Pierre Poilievre, where we can change this around. We can start to fix the mess that has been created by the current.
Yep. Okay. So this was our last question for segment 2.
Okay.
Now it's time for segment 3, and it's like my favorite segment. Now let's start segment 3, and it's going to be a fun segment.
Okay. I like fun. Fun is good.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So if you weren't in this position, what others would you be interested to pursue?
Interesting. So I was trained originally as an accountant, so I've done that. I've worked in a large company. I've worked in a small company. I had my own business. One of my hobbies and interests all along was flying an airplane.
Wow.
So I did that back in a prior job. I haven't done it more recently. But if I could just stop what I'm doing and do something completely different, I'd love to be a pilot.
Wow, I love pilot. And I wanted to be, but then like I just couldn't. So,
why not? You can do it.
Yeah, but then I started thinking like, oh no, I just want to decorate my city. So I started like my major is urban planning.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's the thing. Okay. So next question is, what is the beauty of being a leader in Canada? What kind of leaders does Canada deserve?
You know, one of the nice things about being a leader is you get to see things from kind of a higher level, and you get to see how pieces fit together and how what you're doing over here fits with what this person is doing over there. And sometimes I'm able to see that, you know, you may be doing something and this person over here is kind of not sure what to do, but I can see that this person needs to meet you so that you guys can work together. So it's a really interesting place to be, kind of at that little bit. It's like you're kind of on top of the trees looking down, and you can see the pieces moving and maybe sometimes help put the pieces together. And in that, I also get to see a lot of what's happening. I get to see, you know, so before I got this position, I had no idea what was going on, even in Saskatoon. There's so many amazing things, so many amazing businesses, so many amazing things being done by the university. Many things that we don't normally hear about, but I get to see all that, and I'm just amazed at what we do in our little city here, and it just gets magnified all around the world. I often thought it would be very interesting to be the Queen of England, because she would have the same perspective, but from a world perspective, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
That's very interesting.
It's really interesting. Okay, so what kind of leaders does Canada deserve?
You know, we need leaders that have integrity, that are honest, and that truly have the best intentions of the people behind them. And so often leaders become corrupted by different things, by power, and they start to utilize their position for their own good. And you know, it happens all around the world, and it happens here in Canada. And I think, you know, people are happy to follow a leader when they know that that leader is working in their best interest. And people are even willing to give grace to leaders, because leaders aren't perfect. Leaders do make mistakes, but only it's easier to do that when you know that that person ultimately has your best interests in mind. If you don't trust that leader and you think that they're wanting to do something for their own benefit, it's harder to be with them. It's harder to forgive them when they do something that's wrong. So that's, I think, that what Canadians want, and I think it's what they deserve.
Oh, okay. So next question is, what's your favorite thing about your job?
I think it's the people. It's the people that I get to meet. People, especially, I get to meet so many folks from different countries. Like, you know, Bangladesh, I've met so many people from Bangladesh, and it's such an interesting country. But I've also met people from other countries too, and even people from here originally, indigenous people. You know, there's just such a broad variety of people, and everybody has their own stories. Some of them are sad stories, some of them are happy stories, and all of them are interesting. And it gives you a great appreciation for what we have here in Canada and in Saskatoon. You know, that we have such a free country. We have so many things that we sometimes take for granted, and so by meeting all these different people, it really brings a lot of joy.
It's really interesting to know about a lot of things and to involve. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah. Okay, so now let's just talk about the cuisine. So what's your favorite cuisine?
Well, first of all, this is one of the best parts of the job too, is that I get to try a lot of different foods from different people. So it's a lot of fun, especially when there's some of the bigger celebrations like on Eid days and things like that. So I really do like Bangladeshi cuisine. I like the curries, I like the biryanis, I like, there's so many things I probably don't know what they're called, but they're a lot of fun. On the last Eid day, I went to a bunch of different houses, and I was served just the most amazing food, and most of it was Bangladeshi, and it was really good. So I'm getting to be, I can handle reasonable amount of spiciness, but I'm getting actually better at it to handle more and more spicy.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working. That's my goal, my aspiration, is to handle more and more spicy. My wife, she does not like the spice. So we have to be careful when I bring things. When I bring a goodie bag home, she always asks me how spicy.
Okay, so what I feel like Bangladeshi food, it's not like hot spicy, it's like full of flavors, you know. So when you just have it, it's just like so much flavor on it. So yeah, it's like...
So I thought that the food that I had grown up eating was good food, and it is, but I realize now that it's kind of bland. Our food is a little bit, there's not a lot of pizzazz to it, right? And like you said, there's so much flavor. There's all these different flavors and colors even that I've seen. So I really do appreciate that.
Okay, so my next question was like, have you ever tried Bangladeshi cuisine? But you already say that you already tried. So it's like, what I want to say, like, we are Bangladeshi, we call like bhate mache Bangali, which means like, bhat means rice, the plain rice, and mach means fish. So we have more than 700 rivers in our country.
Oh yes, Bangladesh is a very wet.
Yeah, so that's why we call like bhate mache Bangali, because we love to eat fish because it's available in our country, and hilsha is our like national fish. So so if you, I don't know if you tried it or not, so you should try the shorshe ilish, which is like hilsha with mustard curry. That's really nice, and that's not hot at all, so it's like just full of flavors, you know.
I will try that.
Yeah, just try it with plain rice. Okay. So my next question is, what's your favorite holiday destination?
I love the ocean.
Wow.
I love to swim in the ocean and just be near the ocean. So from here, the simplest ocean destination is Mexico.
Okay.
So I've really enjoyed going to Mexico, to being on the ocean, to snorkeling and swimming and just sitting by the beach. So that's probably my ideal vacation.
Okay. So
and as you know, there's not a lot of ocean around Saskatoon. Pretty dry. So.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about it or not. Bangladesh has the largest or longest sea beach in the world. Yeah, it's called Cox's Bazar. So I hope you're gonna love it if you visit Bangladesh. So do you have any plans to visit Bangladesh?
I would love to go to Bangladesh. I've traveled to many places in the world, but I've never been anywhere in South Asia.
Okay.
So I would love to go there. There's been some talk about maybe visiting at some point. So I'm hopeful that will happen, because I really would love to see Bangladesh and see some of these places, like now Cox's Bazar. That's got to be on my list.
Okay, so like, would you like to take me as a travel partner with you to Bangladesh?
Absolutely, for sure.
Wow, I'd love to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can like show you a few places. Like my favorite places, I love mountains. So we have Bandarbon, which is like the mountains are so pretty. Like here in Canada, it's like full of mountains, right?
Yeah.
So but there's a place called Boropathor where like you can ride it or you can go with like by the boat, so you can actually visualize that how big it is and how pretty it is.
Wow.
So like yeah.
That sounds exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mountains would be my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
I love mountains.
Then you're gonna love Bangladesh actually because it's really pretty. Okay. So what are the greatest rewards you have experienced in your profession?
Well, that's a good question. I think the satisfaction of working and helping people
Mm-hmm.
is probably the biggest reward. When you see a father that finally got reunited with his family, or when you see somebody who's been struggling with the government for whatever reason, maybe they're fighting with the government about a tax bill or something, and you're able to come and help them to resolve that, and sometimes get money back from the government. That's a very rewarding thing. There was another case here where we had a man who was going to be deported back to Uganda, and he was a gay man, and so if he was deported, he would probably have been killed. And so we actually were able to get that stopped. And so there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from this job, from helping people that need help, whether I agree with them or not, or whether they voted for me or not, doesn't matter. It's the job that I have to do is to help people, and I get a lot of satisfaction.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so where do you see yourself in next 10 years in this position?
I see myself right here in this office helping people. There's so
Okay.
many different things that can happen that we can do, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's about helping people here in the riding and making their lives better.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, so last but not the least, so what's your message to the youth of Canada?
Well, get involved with politics. Stay in school, learn something, figure out what's in your heart to do, and pursue that. Canada is full of opportunities. There is no limit to what you can do in Canada. So as long as you have a good education and you've got lots of energy, you can do anything that you set your heart to do, whether it's politics or running a business or planning cities, whatever it is, you can do it. So I would just encourage you to work hard. It's the land of opportunity. It's open for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And all the best to you.
Thank you so much, and best of luck to you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Allah Hafiz.